All right. Well, guys, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. You've been hearing me talk about this for a while, but now it's finally becoming really like live. What it comes down to is, as I got into this, I've been, you guys both know my story. At 14 years, I was taking care of parents, in-laws, uncles, and was so frustrated trying to find my way through. I mean, Jeff, if it wasn't for Mike, I'd have never known what an elder law attorney was, turning me on to you. So it was like, that's the best money I've ever spent in my entire life. So my concern was, and then I got into the senior services business and started working amongst everybody and going, where were all these people? Why didn't I know that these industries existed? Why did, I didn't even know people did some of the things that they do. So I'm going, I think that's not just me. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are suffering with trying to figure out how to navigate all this stuff. So that's what the genesis was for this. What we wanted to create was a portal. We want it to be a place where consumers can find all the resources in the senior world at one spot. I'm thinking of a daughter living in California, and her mom lives in Carmel, and she's trying to figure out how to do all this stuff. Well, I want a place where she can go after work, piddle around with this thing and really, go in and learn a lot of things, and before she goes out and makes calls, find out who to call or why to call. Okay. And that's kind of all I want to have that for that consumer. Additionally, I want a megaphone for the people in the industry. I want a place where you can get your message out. We all talk about, I can't tell you how many coffee conversations I've had where the biggest frustration is we just don't know how to tell people before they're in desperate need what we do and what's available to them. I want that megaphone for that community, if that makes any sense. Okay, so that's part of what I'm trying to accomplish. So that's what this is. Let me kind of show, we'll go into I'll do a share screen here, and we'll go in and take a look at the website of what Matt actually built for us. So we'll have him help me walk through this whole process. He's the guy that actually built this thing. So let me get back to what happened here. Here we go. Okay, so Life's Copilot. Now, have you got a chance to play in this at all? I mean, look at it.
Yes.
Well, until you become a member, you can only see the consumer-facing site. Okay, so we're going to kind of go through some of this. What we're trying to do is to be that portal that's the information arm out to the consumer, and then also, like I said, the megaphone for the professional to be able to communicate with each other as well as the consumer. So some of the resources that we have in here, we've got a blog. Now, a lot of the stuff that you're seeing on the blog right now are ones that we also did with Caring Transitions. Many people within the industry have been my guest bloggers because the information is the same. It's the same audience. Okay, so I wanted to get that content in there, but we're going to do the blogs. And as we go through this, I'm also hoping that my members, that you guys will see this as a megaphone, that you'll do blogs, you'll do video blogs, that you'll put content, that you'll speak to the audience, okay? Because all we're trying to do is build a platform for you to communicate. Does that make sense? That's my goal here, what the goal of this is. So we have a calendar here, a terminology calendar, so we can get for people to go in and try to figure out what all these things that when I first got in the industry, everyone throws ADLs around like everyone knows what that means. I had absolutely no idea what they were talking about until I figured that out. So there's, I'm trying to I come from a real estate background. We're just as bad at speaking, in tongues, so it's kind of like how to explain this to people. And I think this will be constantly changing and updating as, you see something, oh, this needs to go in there. We probably need to put in something about COVID now, so there's, all that stuff, right? So video library, this will always continually be updated. So right now, a lot of the videos, some of you guys are in this. I know, Jeff, you're in one of these here real quickly. In fact, I think you're right here. So we've got videos that we've done from the panels. Now we start doing the Zoom meetings that we've started doing with Life's Copilot. So those are going in there as well. If you have an event that you want to get videos in, again, that's more content. Okay, so that's part of that whole process. Now, our goal is to create a foundation. We're very big into giving back. In our real estate company and Remaxability Plus, we do the Children's Miracle Network is one of our main ones. Last year it was around $75,000 that we were able to give to Children's Miracle Network. You know, so what we're hoping for is that Life's Co-Pilot, through our members and through outreach, that we can create a foundation where we can support people maybe that are coming in that need services, and maybe we can work within the members, and then the foundation pays for the services or something. You know, we're in the process. We want our members' input on that foundation. Okay, so that we're going to come up with events. We've got an events calendar, and by the way, just go back to something real quick. Down here, we're going to have a calendar here. Now, one of the things that I have heard, you know, one of the challenges that a lot of times that we have in our industry, we want to do an event. We find out that one of our other people in the industry is having an event the same day. Here's a place we can go and see what's up there. We can plan our events accordingly. Okay, and we can possibly not have our morning coffee barista thing at the same time of the same day each month. You know, whatever. Back to events. So we'll have a continuing listing of events coming up, and these are panel discussions. They could be whatever, okay? Our partners. What we've got in here, and this will constantly be, you know, evolving and changing and growing. We put in, you know, the different partners in here. For instance, Dave, for instance, he's going to be in multiple spots. Jeff, I would assume that you would be in multiple spots because you're going to be probably under financial. You're probably going to be under senior services and law, you know, whatever. Okay. We don't have it set that way now, but that's what we probably, you know, I would talk to you one-on-one to find out how you wanted to do it. That's kind of how that works. So we got like financial in here. We've got, you know, and this will constantly change. We got health care. We've got home care, you know, different ones that are in there. Real estate, and this will right now because of our affiliation, to be a realtor in here, they have to have their SRES, senior real estate expert, you know, or a specialist. This will be open to any company. We just happen to have people in our office. It's easy to do. Okay, so we have services. We have different things. We'll be developing senior benefits. Wesley Young is the one that came up with the fact that we should have that, you know, that category. So and we listen very closely to what you guys tell us. Okay, so how you contact us. Matt, you just put this reviews in here. You want to explain that one? I just saw it yesterday.
Yeah, so it was a suggestion from, you know, just thinking of different things that we could be doing out there. These are canned reviews right now, but I wanted to pop that in there so we can see it. But basically, this would be from the client side, getting reviews on the services that they received, ideally from, you know, going through this portal, going through this company, this organization. One, we can put the reviews there, but two, we can ask them to submit their review by clicking on that button, which will prompt them to give a review, give us a rating, so we can begin to bolster the company through that.
Now, under the members, this is the part you guys haven't been able to see if you've looked at it without me here so far, okay? And like Jeff, you've already done the get certified part. Tina, what you would do is just fill in this. It would get you into, you know, how to get certified with us. We are doing vetting for the people on here. So, you know, you can honestly tell people that if they go to this site to look for someone, they've been vetted. They have to, you know, Sarah is actually the vetter. I'll have her kind of explain that part. So
yeah, so we ask, we check to make sure that your company is registered as a legitimate business in the state of Indiana. That's just to ensure, you know, it's not somebody doing something out of their garage or backyard and then they're actually registered. We ask you to provide a copy of any necessary licenses you need to have to run your business. Whatever that may be that's pertinent to your specific industry, but we request a copy of that. We check your reviews online just to make sure, you know, if Google is popping up that you have a 2.1 review, obviously that's a red flag for us. So something to follow up on. Everyone who's come across so far has been great with reviews, but just some checking to make sure we're working with legitimate businesses and people who take the time and care to do the steps that they need to do, so that we know, what we're doing with.
Then we have the membership benefits. Membership benefits, I guess the way I want to explain this is this: exposure, engagement, and networking. We want to be your megaphone. We want to be your voice, a platform for you to get your voice into the community. So that's the exposure. We want to have a place where ultimately all of our members will have a URL attached with Copilot on it, so that people can, wherever they come into the senior world, they can find all the senior world. Does that make sense as far as what I'm trying to do there? What addition, I was talking to Amber Gerard yesterday. We were going through her onboarding process. And what she was saying, she goes, if nothing else, this would make, she goes, what she wants is to be able to have, rather than trying to, when she runs into somebody, she's trying to refer somebody to a different person. She goes, here's a website, all these people are vetted, and she goes, that would just be a lazy way for her to give, to give that information out to people. I thought that was a good idea. Engagement. We had run a program, and this was basically stolen off of a program we have within our real estate world, where we have an office that produces thousands of transactions each year. And we have all these different affiliate companies that hang around, that basically feed off of those transactions. What we find is the ones who come in that just put their little card in that scrolls across the screen or whatever, they don't get much. The ones who engage, the ones who are, getting to know people, or that are talking, that are putting out content, that are doing, informational things, they're the ones that get a lot of business out of that relationship. And that's what I see here. If you're engaged, if you're putting out content, if you're putting blogs on here, you're maybe video blogs, that you're educating people, then your voice, your personality is coming through, and people are going to want to know you. Does that make sense? So networking, what I want is something that is more than 4 times a month or 2 times a month or whatever, going to a lunch and having 30 seconds to tell you what we are and what we do. I want to create a deeper engagement with the people within the industry, that we can actually get to know each other, that we can actually work with each other, that we can actually create, more bond and more networking from one business to another. What I've found is a lot of people don't know what different people do. I want to make this to be a forum where people within the industry and outside can learn about you. Does that make sense? That's what I'm trying to do. Marketing resources. On the marketing resources, Life's Copilot is run by a company that we have, which is called Build Your Bonfire, which is a it's a B2B business. We run the back end of a lot of other different companies. And so we have the resources here that you click on, and you can download Life's Copilot logo files, email signatures, customized flyers, stuff that you might need. If your small business needs marketing services, we can do things at a scalable price for you. Okay, so there's things like that. And I'll let Matt talk about that. He's the genius on this. So,
I mean, it's just what Jim said. We're there for anything that you guys do need, from business planning to collateral to digital designs, website design, branded material, event management. We have a lot of systems out there that we already use and pay for. And we can help you guys by allowing you to, attach onto our systems for costs, everything we can quote that out for you guys, but make your life a little bit easier when it comes to running your small businesses is really what we want to try to do.
And on events management, Sarah is a certified events planner, events manager. So we can run big events. Okay, so if you need to have something done and you don't want to consume all your time getting it set up, we can run the back end of that for you. So you just walk up on stage and look good. So those are some things that we have available. So that cover that. Okay, Sarah, Matt. Okay. Member events. This is just some placeholders here right now, but the vision is this. We want to have, I don't know if it's monthly, bi-monthly, or multi-times. We'll bring in speakers. We want to bring in just for the members, where we can have speakers come in and teach. We want to have maybe panel discussions within members of our membership that come up and cover topics for the members. Maybe it's going to, not for consumers, but, industry specific and stuff. I can see open forums where maybe round session, round tables where we work on best practices. Boy, this would have been nice if we'd have had this up a little bit earlier so we could all been doing this. How do we navigate, the COVID world? Okay, that would have been a nice source. But there's things like that, and that's what I want to have as a back-end source for all of you to be able to use. To speak on a panel, if you want to speak on a panel, just here, here you go. We can go in there and pick and choose, and the panels, like Jeff, I've just started doing something different. The first one will be on the 14th. We've been doing one person from every industry, and I've never put competitors on the table before, but I'm like, for instance, you're going to be in the one with the attorneys and what have you. It's going to be all about how do we pay for all this stuff? How do we navigate that? So I'm going to put, I think everybody can play nice, so we'll put a, outward forum to do that. I've got one coming up for caregivers. I've got one coming up for memory care. In fact, memory care was the first one coming up. So I'm excited about those and letting the members basically speak again to educate, and that content goes back into, into the pool. Again, be engaged. If you want to submit a blog post, here's an access to do that, and then it goes out to all the people, and we get that space and get that out there. If you want to submit an event, you want to do an event, go look at the calendar, just make sure it's not conflicting with something else that you're trying to, don't want to compete with. Put your event on there, it goes on the calendar, and it gets out there to the people. I know Wesley Young says he does CE classes. And so he's planning on doing, he's going to be putting his classes on here. So now, again, this is your forum. We're building it to be a platform for everyone that's a member. So submit ideas and resources. Gosh, you're on here and you go, gosh, I wish they had. Well, let us know, or what if we do this differently? Let us know. Well, we're being pretty responsive as we build this. So, this one, I think, will be one where I think people are going to have to learn to trust us. And so I'm not expecting a lot of this at first. Okay. But Bonfire, we do the back end marketing and stuff for several of our competitors. Okay. We have some independent real estate companies. We have things that we do. So we have to be very protective with their database, because if we steal their database, I promise that Bonfire wouldn't exist anymore. Okay. So what we say is we're wanting to get as big an audience, a big a megaphone as possible. So the more members that will upload that, then we can broadcast. We have an event coming up, we have whatever, and it gets out to a bigger audience. So that's a place for that to happen. So that is kind of that. Matt, what would you like to add to all this?
I think you really hit it on the head there, guys. Right on this with the uploading your email list, you don't have to do it. It's not required. It just, like Jim said, we are going to promote the event, so it gives us that broader audience. Really, on the back end right now, it's a lot of resources. It's a lot of asks. But the idea is that we will continue as a group to build out this system, to say, hey, Jim, hey, Matt, what, can we add this, feature in it? We've looked at adding a form into it. Right now we have an internal Facebook group. We find that to be easy because people are on it. Most people have, Facebook profiles and stuff like that. And the communication is there. It's a really good platform. We use it internally for our real estate company. And in the past, we've paid thousands of dollars for intranets, and the involvement and the change was amazing. So that's why we think we're going to go that way versus like a forum. But this product will evolve every single month, every week as we go on, as suggestions are made, and to my capacity or finding some capacity to add on to it. That's really the thought of it. We want it to be a product that you guys are proud of, and we're proud of too. That way we showcase it. That way we're pushing people to it. And ideally, clients will find it as a great resource. It'll drive additional business. It'll drive additional revenue to you guys. That's the important piece, is to be a valid and a good resource for those in need, and showcase that you guys are there to help.
Now, also, Sarah has had a lot of experience at running association, trade associations, which this is kind of really what it's kind of becoming. Sarah, I'll let you kind of explain a little bit of the background of how that's going to, what your role is and what you'll be doing.
Yeah, so my background before I came to work for Bonfire and our brokerage here was I planned, excuse me, I planned very large conferences for different trade associations across the country. So it was a shift when I came to work with these guys. But I have a lot of experience at the back end of an association. This isn't so much an association, but there's a lot of similar veins to it. So just, kind of seeing what I think the biggest thing I bring to the table is I'm always looking for a way to add value to members. That was always sort of the thing that I focused on both in my event planning and then also just member relations. So that's kind of my angle here. I'll be doing the vetting. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to Jim. And then we're kind of sharing an email at the moment. So, so he'll make sure I see anything that he might get. But yeah, I'm excited. I think this is a great idea and certainly a needed resource for so many people.
Well, one thing too, I just wanted to point out, this group, this is the original group that we invited to that whiteboard back, that RSVP'd for the whiteboard back in September. You're the beta test. And so we are doing a free 6 months for you to get in here and play with it. We're looking for your input. We're looking for your feedback through this whole process. Now, this is the last meeting we're having for that. After that, it's going to go live and we'll actually start charging people. So please don't tell everybody you're free. Anyway, that's kind of where that is. But what questions do you have from what you've seen here? So I also, hi Kunta, I can't see you, but I can see you're here. So any questions?
I have some things. I just didn't want to cut off Jeff if you had anything. First of all, I love the calendar approach. There's nothing like that right now. So I see that as a huge value to people. What is the cost going forward, just so we have that knowledge?
It'll be $99 a month.
Okay.
My goal, originally when I was putting this together in my brain, because it's been carrying around my brain for a while, then all of a sudden it was built. Okay, I got the other brains in here to actually build it. I didn't want to cut people out. There's a lot of very small businesses that are just startups or they're young franchises or whatever. I didn't want to price them out because they're good quality people. Okay, so that was why I wanted something very affordable.
Yeah, I think that's a good approach. So many of the other aging-related organizations in town would do it based on income, in your budget. So it's something to consider as you grow. When you vet, so Sarah, question for you. What if there are complaints about an organization who's a member? How will that, just out of curiosity, how will the group deal with that?
Sarah, you're there.
Yep. So it's an overall. So we're looking at if there are some complaints. I mean, in most cases in business, you're going to have that, and it's just nature. So it's really what we're looking at is the nature of the complaint, the number of negative complaints as opposed to the positive ones. I mean, we're looking at the overall. You can kind of tell if you look at reviews if a business is just garbage, or if maybe there's a couple people who didn't get something the way they wanted. I haven't had that yet. Everybody who was on this the reviews have been great. But I just take a deeper dive, look at the nature of them, see, and then if it's something that we're concerned about, I would suggest that either Jim or I would reach out to you and kind of say, hey, can you give us any sort of explanation on if it's one specific thing, one complaint, it's fine. If you're 70% complaints, that's probably not going to be a good fit for us. So it's really, we're looking at the ratio.
I think if it's on the line too, down the line, we can have some sort of sounding board. I mean, there's a it's a pretty tight knit community, I would believe. I don't know because I'm just new into it, but we can reach out and say, hey, what are your guys' thoughts on this? There's a couple of bad complaints, and then not necessarily do it for the whole community, but a handful of people that we will get truthful answers from, right?
I was going to suggest that maybe a member, or putting it to members, or just making a sounding board of a number of members, or so on. I would feel more comfortable with something like that myself. Just like I said, I know, Jim, you want to keep this open to as many people as possible, but I think you can get some valuable information out of your members if you have a ne'er-do-well that's wanting to join, and they might have a great online presence, but a lot of us that are in the same industry can know some insider information that may not be public record.
Well, I will tell you my thought on that going into it was, in our real estate company, we have a similar thing where all these people come into the thing, and then we put them in. Within seconds, people in the industry will call up and go, "Well, this guy's," and so, you guys know them better than we do, okay? And so we usually get a phone call within a few minutes, and then we can address it from there, okay? So it's like, they snuck through our system, but the members pretty much told us, wait a minute, so.
And I mean, I think in that same vein, if there's someone who you're concerned about before, so right now, what the people we're vetting are the people from the beta group. These are people that have a relationship with Jim, who he knows, they're in your community, they've been accepted into your community, essentially at this time. That's who we're dealing with. But if there's people who you think would join who we should, look into more, that maybe wouldn't come across, let Jim know.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to, banish anyone before they get the opportunity, but at the same time, I don't know. And if it doesn't pop up on my search, then I'm not, gonna know. And Jim's pretty new to it, and he's friends with everybody, so he may not realize that maybe we've got a bad apple in the bunch. So, if you're concerned about a specific person, let him know so that we can do a deeper dive when we vet them. That would be helpful for now. And then certainly going forward, when we get more members and people are more comfortable with the idea, I think the idea of having a peer review process is certainly a good one, and something that we could do once we're a little bit more.
Well, and I think just, knowing that it's something that you think about here at the beginning, and that there's a policy in place, will be helpful in the long run. I think it'll be a rare occasion, but things like that just get uncomfortable and ugly often. So
well, and I think too, telling people up front, we're going to look at your reviews, we're going to check, your business status. We're just telling people up front, hey, we're going to do some digging on you, I think will hopefully, to a certain extent, deter some people who maybe don't have the best business practice, or I don't want to deal with those people. That was part of it.
All right, I have another question. So Jim, when you're talking about this, knowing that you're formulating how you're talking about it right now, who do you really consider the target audience for this platform?
Which side of it?
Well, so that's my question. As I'm a note taker, so as I'm taking notes, I'm thinking this is really two-sided, right? So it's really the client side, and then it's the organization/member side. Yes. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
So the client side, who I see is the girl, the daughter in California who's got a mom here, or the one that lives in Greenwood. I don't care. Okay. I want to have a voice to that person. I want something that I would have killed to have had when I was trying to figure out how to negotiate all this stuff. Okay. A comfortable, safe place that I can go. A lot of times picking up the phone and calling somebody is scary, because then all of a sudden you feel like, now I'm going to be on their drip campaign, I'm going to be on their list, I'm going to be on their whatever. But I can go on here and snoop on you guys, okay, and kind of get a feel for, I didn't even know there was someone that did adult day. What is that? So so that's kind of what I'm trying to create for the consumer side. I would love it if all of our members would put our URL on their email signatures, what have you. So that way, when anybody comes into the senior world, no matter what portal they come through, whatever doorway they walk into it, all of a sudden the entire world is at their fingertips. So that's kind of a process that I see for the consumer side. Okay. And frankly, this is our philosophy within, like for instance, in our real estate company, we have all these companies that are there. We have insurance companies, we have title insurance companies, we have that have office spaces in our office that are competitors of one we already own, but we don't protect ours. We just try to outserve. Does that make any sense? And I don't want to do any exclusivity here. I want it to be, you know, people can poke around. Okay. I believe that you'll get more attention because as they get to know you through your engagement, that will get you the most attention, if that makes sense. For the back end, what my target audience is there is anyone that serves someone in the senior world. Okay. And it could be anything from, you know, I mean, I don't really think there's any limit to what that could be. What's your thought?
I agree. You know, like you and I talked yesterday, I think there's so many opportunities that can play together with this. It really hit me when, Jim, I think it was you that said, you look at this as a trade association of sorts. And, you know, right now, I think, Jeff, you've experienced this too. There was a time when, you know, whether it was Indiana Continuity of Care or there have been other groups over the decades that will bring anyone who's in typically aging-related services together. And right now there's not. It's something we've been talking internally at Joy's House, like who is the right place to host that community where we can, I think there would be a good opportunity here too, where we can come together as those who serve in the community and just have conversation with each other, trends that are happening, concerns for the industry. I mean, right now, you know, the concerns of, excuse me, opening back up with COVID-19. I mean, there's so many conversations to be had and there's no place to go to have them. And this would be a very comfortable, safe place to do that.
I think that's a good point. And then also it gives you guys a bigger voice. So when it comes to, I think of it, so we have a RE/MAX association. It gives them a much larger voice to speak to RE/MAX as a whole. Sarah, I don't know how many members you guys are up to now, but if it comes
500 different brokerages. So I also run our like 15 part-time jobs. I helped the owner of our brokerage helped establish it's a association for owners, for people who own RE/MAX brokerages across the country in Canada. And we've got about between 15,000 and 20,000 agents represented, about 500 brokerages, which just helps in conversations with RE/MAX. Hey, we would really like to see something, or we need a resource, or hey, can you take another look at this? Just that strength in numbers. You know, we're a peaceful group. We're not making any crazy demands, but it certainly helps to be noticed when you're a group as opposed to an individual.
Well, and being able to be with like-minded people, right? And just vet information or just get something off your chest where other people wouldn't understand what you're going through. So I guess, Jim, with that, my question is there a forum within this platform where we can have those private conversations? Like I know you said you have a private Facebook group. Is there a place for that? I'm almost thinking of, I don't even know what it's called, you guys. So forgive me, my brain is not.
Well, it's like, what I was thinking about now, if we need it more private, I was going to say the members can create events, okay, and we can all have a member-related events, and those can only be for members. So, you know, it goes on the calendar, but it would be a members-only thing. So those kind of things are already in place, but we can make it more secure beyond.
Yeah, I was trying to think of, I can't remember what it's called, but it's online, and where I would post a question or a thought, and other people then can go in and respond to that, and we can have conversation, kind of like you do on your Nextdoor app. Or
I would say use our private Facebook group, which is just members that are in there. We use that with the real estate, our RE/MAX office. It's phenomenal. It's very, very engaged. What was amazing, Matt was talking about, we used to have an intranet we did that with. It was costing us like $20,000 a year. And then also we found out the Facebook group could do the same thing. We're going, oh my God. And we didn't have to train people how to do it. They could figure out how to get in there, you know? So, you know.
What is the name of that group?
It's Matt, it's
Life's Copilot internal network. You won't be able to find it, but once So kind of the next steps, which Jim will explain, is when we vet you, you'll be invited to that group. So there's not a lot of action in it yet, but as we're rolling this out, you will start to see discussion, information come, right?
Something else that has been really beneficial for the brokerage association is we've started having periodic member Zooms where there isn't necessarily an agenda. It's just an opportunity for people to come hop on, talk about, it's not formal, the very informal sort of chat situation where people can hop on and talk about challenges that they have, ideas they have, resources they've found, things of that nature. So I don't know if that would be something that would be beneficial to the group going forward. It's worked pretty well. I've had calls with 100 people on them. Some people don't speak, obviously, but just to hear kind of what other people are going through seems to have been a big benefit for a lot of our members. So Jim, that's an option for you as well.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I think anything that creates community. And, this time of COVID has certainly taught us that these meetings are really important and we can connect. Like, I'm going to hang up with you all and feel connected to you because of this conversation and this time. So I think you're onto something with that, Jim.
Jeff, you look like you were getting ready to say something earlier. So
I'm good. I'm kind of absorbing this. So
good. I don't know if you can hear me or not. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those too. But there's a microphone at the bottom left if you need it. So. But well, guys, I thank you so much for coming. The next step would be to, I think you've already done this, Jeff, where you've gone, because I think we have an appointment to go through the back end, which is going to be very similar to what we just did today. Okay, but it just, Tina, if you want to get in there, you can go in and get certified, and we'll go through that whole process.
Yep, I'm filling it out as we speak.
Okay. Any other questions or? Well, guys, thank you so much for coming. I'm really excited about getting this thing kicked off. I think that, I'm just so anxious to get it out. So the bigger we can build this pool of people, the better it's going to be as a megaphone for all of us, so.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thanks for taking the time, Jim.
Thank you very much. I will see you all soon. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.